Is there a heaven and a hell? Obviously, someone's created these terms somewhere along the line and been stuck with them through various books. So do they actually exist, and what are they? So we've already established that the universe, people, everything within the universe is vibrating energy. So everything that we witness, everything that's solid, is a hologram. A very realistic looking hologram. We're not talking about the types of holograms that people are making on Earth. This is a hologram made by the universe, likely a group of higher beings who are acting as co-creators to make this a very, very realistic hologram. We all feel that we're trapped in this physical dimension, and it was created for the purpose of schooling souls from all over the universe and multiverse to come here. And that's why everyone's so different, everyone looks different. It's not all about natural selection and where you lived and where you grew up, and you live over here, so you're white and live over here because you're dark and live over here, and you have Asian features. There's a bit more to it than that, and there's some evidence that the Earth may have been seeded somewhere along the line by different species. I mean, each of the species is quite different in many, many ways. If you start looking deeper into the characteristics, some are good at memorizing stuff and can regurgitate it in exams and do really well, but may not have the ability to think through problems unless they're presented in the way they learnt it to prepare for exams. So I've seen that plenty of times. So heaven and hell. So what is a definition of heaven? I guess everyone's got different definitions, so we really can't discuss it, because my definition at the moment, for what information I know at the moment, may be different to yours. So we'll be talking about apples and oranges, and my definition as I learn more may change. So people often refer to, say, heaven as a place where it's awesome. There are no lower vibrations, so there's no hate, no abuse, no stealing. So there's no fear, no grief, no sadness, no sin. And some of these words sound very familiar. I'm pretty sure they're used in some religious text. So humans are guilty of original sin that they had nothing to do with, and they're programmed to be guilty. Humans are, they're guilty. They need to feel shame. They're programmed to feel shame for something they didn't do, but yet the control system wants to keep them in the vibration of shame. What's the other one? Shame, guilt, fear. That's the big one. Keeping people at the lowest vibration possible of fear. And they need to fear, whatever the God or power is in that religion. So I think the Christian religion says something about fearing God. So this is the God that loves us all his children, but we have to be in fear of him for some reason, because he can send us to hell, because he's apparently a loving father with unconditional love, and I don't know any father that sends their children to hell to die and burn for all eternity. So something's definitely out there. Doesn't make sense, and the whole system kind of starts with that, to put people into a lower vibrational frequency straight away. All the big ones, all the ones the media using as well to keep people in constant fear, which is I advise don't watch the media unless you want to be in constant fear, stress, getting on medications, hard breathing, insomnia. This is all from watching and believing. A stressful show. It's a presentation. You only see what the controllers want you to see, and it's not going to be much positive stuff because that's going to raise you into a higher emotional state. So the state that people always, or not always, but people say is appropriate for heaven, or the heaven frequency, or the heaven vibration, or heaven itself, or the heaven dimension, whatever you want to call it. It's about love, happiness, joy. For some, it's about reaching these higher stages of bliss, nirvana, and there's another one I can't remember off the top of my head. So all these top levels, and staying in that energy field as long as you can. So by vibrating up through your lifetime and evolving as a soul, you work your way to the higher and higher dimensions, which are largely living in the higher emotions and the lower emotions of all the fear and theft and stealing and all the stuff that's going on. Now, all the lies, you need to feel guilt and you need to feel shame. All that wears off for people that are able to move to the next dimensional stage, so they won't live in that frequency. Maybe they'll get hit occasionally with something, but predominantly they'll be living these nicer emotions, so they have elevated or ascended to the next level, which may be the fourth or fifth dimension. But you get to a point where everything's great, and you're experiencing the higher dimensions, and you would probably call that heaven. Okay, heaven, great, love, peace, happiness, contentment. Yeah, and that matches the definition of a high definition, or high frequency energy, or high frequency dimension, or high frequency people. Because there are people on earth right now, many people who are already living in the higher frequencies. So they're already living in love, happiness, peace. They may live on their own, they may be hermits, they may be monks, they may be guru masters, they may be tribes that live out, that haven't even been discovered or have been discovered, and they live in this way with nature in total peace and experience very few of the lower emotions. And when someone dies, they understand things energetically, and for them there's no reason to cry or mourn. It's a celebration that they're moving to the next reality, the next dimension. Their soul is. Okay, so we've seen that heaven exists on earth, and really it exists anywhere you want it to, wherever you're living. It can do. And sure, there might be a place people tend to look up when they talk about heaven, but the earth's continuously rotating, so which direction? No direction's given, but I think they just generally gather they've come from somewhere. I don't know, subconsciously. They don't know where. They'll sit outside, look at the sky. Some people think, I'm from there. And they might be right, but it's not just look up and you keep going in one direction and you reach a place called heaven. So how I understand it is that there are higher dimensional, or there are higher dimensions and higher dimensional planets which exist in higher frequencies. So these are the planets that people may refer to as heaven. So it's not just one single spot somewhere up high. You shoot up with a rocket and you'll get there. You can experience, because humans are multidimensional, heaven on Earth, on these other planes, in these other planets, and possibly even outside of the physical, like beings, conscious beings without a body, still experiencing happiness and bliss. Okay, so I think we have to get out of the notion is that it's a place up there when we're down here on Earth to experience stuff, and we can either live in heaven the best we can, most days, some days, or we could escape all this, go and live in the country, be self-sufficient, so not relying on corporations for food. The governments obviously still going to be, they're going to be after something, tax or tax this or whatever. They're always going to be bleeding us because we're the ones that keep them operating through our taxes and work. Without us, they don't operate. That's what they're scared of. So you can grow your own food and have your sheep, chickens, and barter, and live a life separated from, somewhat separated from the controllers. A happier life. It's and have your own education system, which teaches real education, not what teachers have been told to teach for programming purposes, but real information that kids will need and use about relationships, about emotions, how to control their emotions, how to use energy, how to grow their own food organically, how to fix things, how to renovate things, for, say, teenage classes, how to fix a hole in the wall, how to hang a door, all the things that would be handy to know so you don't have to get in trades to do everything. You can repair your own house, you can build your own house, you can maintain the lawn, learn about gardening, growing various types of foods organically, which I mentioned. And then whatever you get excess, you swap in with your neighbour. So they've got all these veggies growing that you don't have. You got all these growing. You swap. We have local markets, and that's really the way forward, no doubt. And then, so people look at hell and they say, "Oh, hell's down there." Well, they're right in a way. There is a lot going on within the earth and the earth's mantle. There's many operations that have been going on for hundreds of years of child trafficking that people, a lot of people may have heard of. So you can Google those. There's tunnels under countries that can hold semi-trailers full of children, driving them underneath to other countries. And I just heard of something called Operation Railroad. I think it's a group that are part of trying to stop this trafficking of children. So these children live in hell, no doubt, live underground. They're like ages, whatever, 2, 3, 4, 5, up to teenagers have been taken off from loving homes, reported as missing because nothing will happen with that. Reported on all the milk cartons way back around the 80s when they were all disappearing through places, I believe, like Disneyland and fun parks. There was the place where people would take them from. Well, not people, an organisation would take them, and it was set up. So hundreds of thousands, I think, or tens of thousands disappeared. So many they had to start putting their face in the backs of milk cartons, and never to be found, because they're taken underground into bunkers, interconnecting systems, road systems underground, taken from one country to another for trafficking, which is the whole pedophile network used by the elites. And okay, so that's hell, going through what the kids go through. That's worse than going to wherever religious books say hells are. Because what they're going through, the torture and the sexual abuse, sacrifices. So yeah, you'd probably rather go to hell than to go there. And this is happening right on earth. And there's worse. There's things happening in people's houses that people don't know about, abuse, murder, people kept tied within a house for tens of years, and no one even knows about it. So there's a lot of evil happening, and there's a lot of hell happening right here on earth. So as I was saying before, you can live heaven on earth. You can also live hell on earth. So people are already in hell. There's no doubt about that. So are people thinking, so is there another place where, Bible talk about hell, they're pointing down, says there's hell down there, there's a devil down there. Well, I don't know about a devil, but there are evil people, evil beings, which not necessarily humans within the earth's mantle, and they've got their own organisations going on down there. So, yeah, in a way, heaven's down there, and yet in a way, hell is down there, and then in a way, heaven is up to the stars. It could be any one number of planets within dimensions of the high dimensions, multi-dimensions. So there would be billions, trillions of them, which you can call heaven. So you could also be on another planet and be in a good state, mental state, and be in a state of heaven or a state of hell. So what I'm saying is, it's not really about if you be good, you go to heaven. You be bad, you go to hell. If you be good, whatever vibration you're vibrating out at the time, you'll go to a similar vibration. That doesn't mean it's heaven. So if your understandings about everything are all off, then your whole network, your whole system is at a certain vibration. So you're good people, say you're good people, but just understood things totally misaligned with energy, just following books. And when you die, you have this belief, or you might end up with a place, continuing. I'm just going by what Dolores Cannon has seen, and also Robert Monroe, who an expert out-of-body experience, who could actually leave his body and go and visit different dimensions and planets and worlds. It's like remote viewing. CIA agents have learnt to view using their consciousness, what the enemy's plans are, their headquarters, and what's happening on the other side of the moon. So these sort of things are kept hush-hush but used by the military. So this Robert Monroe, he would go and check out different planets. So we know that some planets are more heaven-like and some can be more hell-like. But really, wherever you are, whichever planet, whichever dimension, whether you're in heaven and hell is a vibrational frequency, not a place. So that's why you can be in heaven on any number of planets, which I suppose you could say they fall within this vibrational frequency range, and you could call that vibrational frequency range heaven if you wanted to give it a label. And then you got the people underground, which, they're living in a low vibrational state, in fear constantly, and in pain. And you could call that, you could call it hell if you want to. If you want to label that a vibrational range of the lower emotions hell, then fine, if that helps you understand it. But at the end of the day, there's the high and the low vibrations. You could call it good and evil if you want to put labels on it. And they don't have to exist anywhere outside of yourself. So if you want to live in heaven now, you need to raise your emotions, your thinking, into the higher vibrations. And you might have a day where you really felt like you're in heaven, everything was awesome. And you might have another day things just don't work out, and it felt like hell, but it may not feel quite like the hell what some people are going through. But you never know; it may get that bad. So it changes for us day to day, and when you get the hang of it, you can go through longer periods of maybe not heaven, but maybe contentment first before you make that big jump to heaven. So at the moment, I find I'm living my days quite content. I wouldn't say ecstatic, as though maybe in heaven, and I wouldn't say sad or depressed or anything like that. So in a good place, but I know I can work towards, and it's all how you react to things that happen to you, and in things that happen to you, things that happened to you, things about the future that you're worried about. You get hit by something emotional next day. How quick are you going to be able to recover from that? A few hours, day, 2 days, week, or do you hold on it forever? Well, all of those are determining your vibrational state and whether you're in a state that is closer to hell, middle, or heaven. So that's my take on heaven and hell. I believe it's a state of mind. Thank you.